All right, good day, hi, and welcome. All right, so I got mouse number 28 up there. That's working. Yeah. Basically, that one trap is catching everything. It's about 11 o'clock. I know it says almost 12 on there, but I haven't changed the time back. Let's look at my beautiful guitar. I'm going to see if we can do some recording today. So today is getting off a little bit later than I thought. Always happens that way, okay? So exhibit A. This is how my day was supposed to go. My life's master plan. Okay? And it was supposed to be wake up in the morning, check. Go. Check that box. I had a bit of a breakfast. I normally don't eat breakfast in the morning, but lately what I've been doing on my days off is eating a little bit before I go to the store, so I don't buy as much junk food. It's kind of never go into a store with an empty stomach, you know what I mean. So I bought one Pepsi for the day. I've been only drinking one of these a day now, down from two a day. So it's money's getting tight. So uh, I did that, but on my way back, I stopped at the library because although I've got this book, there's two other versions, two other additions to this book. It's a trickle uh, trilogy. That's the word that was hiding in my brain. Trilogy. So I was going to bring down my chainsaw, do the chainsaw review today, but my dad was heading out past the store, which is a lot quicker to walk from the truck to the store than it is from my house to the store. So I was like, I capitalized on that. Went in, see my aunt at the library, and I have her hunting for a very special book for me. I looked last night on the Bibliotech website. What they could do is basically all the libraries in Quebec, like you can get any sort of like publisher house book, right? By law, they're allowed to buy any publisher, like major publisher house, like Penguin Books, that kind of thing. Uh, but they can't buy like independent publisher. But people can donate independent publisher. Now, this book I think is your run of the mill fiction, so um, I want to read more leisurely. It's something I've just never had a chance to really do in my life, right? Uh, so I'm like, well, what do I read? So I'm like, okay, I want to do that, but before we get to that, I was going to follow a few things with the saw, but because I didn't grab my originally, I was just going to walk down here with my chainsaw, review my chainsaw, go out, fill the rest of the recycle bin, nip down a few trees. But the plot thickens. The plot thickens, guys. You thought this was going to be a boring video. No, 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 no. You guys know about the beaver assault that's going on to my client's trailer there. Well, the I sent her the videos last, or the pictures last night of the big the massive tree there that's heading to gonna come down. I'm like, that thing's coming down within the week. You know what I mean? Like 2 nights of chewing, the beavers took a tree this wide and they chewed it down that much. Like they chewed at least 8 inches of tree out of there. So like, is the wind going to take it down? That's normally what the beavers do. They just chew enough that and let the wind take it down. They're patient, right? But for some reason, the beavers are in like full assault mode around that trailer, right? They just, I don't know, it's something like, we got to kill every tree there. Damn the trailer, right? But I saw the two guys there. They took down the big tree. Asked him how he did it. He said, no, he just fell it. People have more experience than me, whatever. I said, because I said that looked like it was going to land right on it. He goes, yeah, I probably would have landed on it for sure. It's just would have landed on the corner straight in the middle. You know what I mean? But when he fell it, he was able, even though there was the lean this way, he was able to get it to come down beside the trailer. Which could I have done that? I'm sure I could have done that if I would have really planned it out. I'm sure he would have had. I didn't see any extra rigging or anything there, so he fell at just normal. But he had probably had to put uh, a lot of wedges on one side to get it to, stay, stay like this, because you're falling a tree like this, which wants to go this way, right? So you notch it this way. What happens is it'll twist a lot of times. So you'd have to wedge it a certain way and just, there's a way to do it where you cut it up more on one side and, you can wedge it over enough that you can kind of bring the top so then it comes down. So that probably took up most of their morning. So I heard the saws going. I didn't realize they were right there. and they were just getting on the roof to do the rooftop one, and they're doing it pretty much the way I said I was going to do it is how they're doing it, but they're insured. I'm not. So like there is a lots of piles of wood there. There is lots of piles of wood there. So I don't know if they're going to take it away. If not, I'll take it away. So I'll do it in the spring because there's no place to put it. But the fact that they're cutting it and piling it up for me, they got the one on the ground, the big one on the ground. They got that one done. So I'll talk to her tonight and see, I mean, if they're going to take it away, then they're taking it away, whatever. But if not, I'll take it away in the spring. And I'll make her a deal that I'll clean up all the branches and so I get paid to do that anyway, right? I'll have to clean up all the branches and stuff, and then what I'll do is basically I'll haul the wood away for free because I'll keep the wood. You know what I mean? There's like 3/4, 4/4 wood. There might be 5/4 wood by the time they're done. These trees are big. These trees are big. Like I already seen a couple of the piles. So there's already cord there. There's about half cord there, half cord there. So there might be 4/4 of wood out of these 3 trees, right? Again, they're that big at the friggin' base. All I got to do is haul them, split them, and haul them. That's it. You know what I mean? But I'll split them up here. So I'll have to use my dad's truck for that. But there's no place to really throw it right now because we're just getting into winter and it's going to snow the next couple of days. So I can't dump the snow, the blocks in my yard, even though I'm not getting plowed. If something happens and I do have to get it plowed, such as I get a vehicle and whatever, then it's like, okay, I don't want a whole bunch of blocks of wood where I'm plowing, right? So it's just easier to do it in the spring. It's not going to go anywhere anyway, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, so at least my dad and I pulled out of the driveway and whatever, and I looked and I saw the trailer and I saw the one tree was missing. I was like, oh no! And then I saw the guy on the roof. I was like, oh god. It's like good, because I thought maybe it fell in the night or something like that. I was like, oh shit, like that would have been disastrous. So anyway, on my way back, I stopped in at the library and I was talking to my aunt, and I told my aunt, I said, look, remember I got a whole bunch of those DVDs there that you guys, because the library got completely overhauled, I guess it's a year ago, 2 years ago now. Anyway, it's a completely new library and stuff. It's beautiful in there. It's small, but it's really nice the way they got it. And anyway, the libraries, like the neighboring town, they're selling off their entire library collection. I don't know if they're going to close the library or not, but it's like something like $1,500 for $500 or something like that. Take it all, right? I don't think I would do that. That wouldn't be a very good use of my income. I like free books, but the problem with free books is you get whatever you get. I don't mind the idea of buying a couple of books, but my strategy is going to be more for find it through the library first if they can get it. If they can get it and I start reading it, I was like, man, I love this, then I'll go out and buy it. Rather than buy the book, see if I like it, right? That said, my aunt said, no, they're not, they already got rid of all the books that they were going to get rid of. So I missed that train, you know what I mean? And what happened was, I got a whole bunch of DVDs and I picked out the best ones I got, and then they got rid of those, and then they cleared out the rest of the books, right? But she said a lot of books. There's a book exchange up at the thrift shop at the Bethany Hall, where across from the church. She said just go up there. She goes, they'll probably just give you the books, because like it's a book exchange. And she said Ashley and the other guy, I forget the name of the other guy. Sorted all the books out in their proper sections and stuff like that. And she goes, just go up there. They'll probably give you, So I might get a book. Let's say I have to pay $1 or 50 cents a book or something. Buy $10 worth of books. You'll probably never read them all in one lifetime. You know what I mean? But there is stuff that I'm looking for, like like the Stephen King stuff. I'm only really looking for one book from Stephen King. It's a book I started, but I only read a couple of pages. My sister had it. She had the hard copy, because my sister was a big Stephen King fan, right? Well, she probably still is, but she had The Stand, and I started reading that, but like it's like 1,000 pages, right? It's a big, very, very thick book. I'm now at a point in my life where I can actually sit down and start reading that. So I'm going to finish this book, the Elvis books, the my mom's Elvis books. God rest my mom. And then I'm going to pack away the Elvis books as keepsakes. Like they're going to stay in that little bag that I found all my mom's Elvis stuff in. Hope you guys. Glad some of you guys enjoyed the me sharing that with you. Yeah, it was kind of a nice enough collection that I thought I got to share this. You know what I mean? God knows how long my mom would have had hung on to that. But some of these books I know she's had, like, I mean, that Elvis calendar from 1978. I mean, I was born in 73. You know what I mean? Like that's a keepsake. And it's only missing 1 month, and it happens to be my month. So I wonder whatever happened to that page, you know? And it's not like I'm going to sell the stuff or like that. It could be worth $1 million. I'd never sell it. It was my mom's, right? Because I know what Elvis meant to my mom, you know, and it's one of those things that once I pack that away, that's a keepsake, right? But some keepsakes do end up becoming clutter. So the last thing I want to do is have, 1,500 of these things lying around, right? Even if I read them all, you know what I mean? Like, so I'd rather borrow the book from the library if I can get it. I have a list of books now that in the fiction category that I think would be. I'm looking more standalone books. I don't want to read any of this big series stuff. Like there's one series I might get into just because it keeps coming up. And the way I did it was this: is I took like I YouTube like recommended books, for 2025, right? Problem is books come out at there's a gazillion books out there. Like you walk into chapters and it's 3 mega floors of books. You know what I mean? Like what's there? You know what I mean? Like everything, anything, and everything. Now, most of the books I've read in my life have always been like, instructional, like flight manuals, like motorcycle books, more informational books, right? Violin making, guitar making, luthier books like that. Like I say, motorcycle manuals, stuff like and then everything else is either like a picture book, like say like car stuff, motorcycle stuff. Like I have like the encyclopedia of motorcycles, right? It's not something you read for fun, to follow a story. It's just like, oh wow, look at this historical motorcycle. Here's when it was built. Here's who made it, and here's the things attributed to it and all that. Yeah, so that's a different type of reading altogether. It's not necessarily, well, you can't say it's not intellectual because you're gaining knowledge, right? I don't read self help. You think self help's going to work on a guy like me? Really? Like really? Like even like realistically, guys, do you think self help books are going to work on a guy like me? I just don't think so, right? I am what I am. I'm set in my ways. Deal with it. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I'm perfect the way I am. Fuck you all. You bastards. Even with my granny glasses. Yeah, and yes. I know some of you wish you could hear how hard you guys were laughing at my granny glasses. Trust me, I can hear you through the internet. Stop it. Stop it. Leave my granny glasses alone. They work, though. They work. I have another set up home. Like, I got reading glasses all over the place. Because, I can still see, like microfibers on the wall. I can see dots. Anything like 10 feet out, I'm like an eagle. But anything getting close there, I I got to go to the doctor at some point or optometrist at some point and get glasses, whatever. But that's the problem when you're poor and you have so many things you want to get. It's like okay, yeah. So if reading cheap $2 reading glasses will work for now, whether they're granny glasses or not. If they're working, they're working. It's the utility of it. That's what. You judgmental bastards. I laughed at me too when I saw the video. I was like, oh yeah, I caught myself, didn't I? It's like, oh hey, we're supposed to see that. You gotta take these off. Yeah. Yeah. That was funny. That was very funny. What have I seen in public? I'm one of those people. I just don't care anymore. Like, I never again. Would a self help book ever work for someone like me? How to be conscientious around others. Fuck them. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm hitting that 50-year-old stage where you're kind of like you're cross between like you're starting to go into your Howard Hughes mode. What I mean? You're just letting things go. It's like I don't care. I just don't care. The gray in the beard, I age gracefully. Fuck it. I won't let the fingernails go long, but you get the idea. I am growing out my hair though. You guys have noticed that. It's about 6 inches long in the back. So I want to see my hair in its natural color before it's so gray that I don't get to see my beautiful brownish blonde hair anymore. Uh, you say, Reg, you got brown hair. Yeah, wait till I step out in the sunshine. You'll see what I mean. I was almost purely blonde when I was a kid. Like not like platinum blonde, but like I looked like a golden nugget. My head looked like a golden nugget. It was just blonde, and then so whatever. I think I have some Scandinavian roots. I know Native Irish French for sure. But I have uncles that are blonde hair, blue eyes, an aunt that's blonde hair, blue eyes, and my grandmother was blonde hair, blue eyes. You know what I mean? So on my mom's side, so it was like she was French, right? But like she could have had she had it's because I never saw pictures of my grandmother in her youth. That's the thing. I never saw like I only know Granny as looking like Granny, right? Like when I was born, she was already old. You know what I mean? So I never saw in her youth to see like what her features would have actually really been if they were like Scandinavian or whatever. But judging from my uncle, which I remember him, as a like in his early 20s, right? So he looked like he just stepped off a boat from Sweden. You know what I mean? And then my other uncle, well, I wouldn't say I looked a lot like my other uncle, but my other uncle was, same thing, brown eyes, brown hair, but he had dark brown hair. And then my aunt was blue eyes, and my other uncle was dark brown eyes, brown hair. No, he had blue eyes and brown hair. So it's kind of like we had a whole rainbow there of Europoids, Euromutts. So I'm like maybe Heinz 57 Euromutt 5000 whatever. I don't know, but anyway, I digress. But anyway, getting back, yeah, yeah, I want to see that one more time before I just shave it off for the last time. You know what I mean? Whatever. Keep it fun. I don't know what I'm gonna do with the beard. The beard, I like the salt and pepper thing. I like that Grizzly Adams kind of look. You know what I mean? Uh, but yeah, is what it is. I got to trim up a bit more though. But whatever. But yeah. So anyway, the book thing. Getting back to the book thing. So I looked last night to see what everybody's reading now because, like I said, I started really thinking about the books I've read in my life. Now, for fiction, I read most of the S.E. Hinton books. I know I started to read Moby Dick and I never finished it. I started to read Stephen King's The Stand. I never finished it, but I did read a couple of Stephen King books. Christine was one of them. Salem's Lot, I think, was the other one. And there was a short story book that Stephen King, it was like a little paperback about that thick. My sister had it and I read it. And it was all short stories, so I really retained it, especially with my ADD and my not schizophrenia, sorry, my ADD and my dyslexia, right? So it was hard to get it, but I did read these books, and I actually finished them. And I read other books in high school, but the first book I read cover to cover was The Outsiders. Hence why I want to actually have that actual book in paperback. Just I don't want a hardcover of it or like that and like a grandiose. I want the high school paperback that I had, the cheap book. It was about half the size of this, and it was perfect. And I read Tex and Rumblefish, and that was then. This is now, and I think there was 2 or 3 more books. I'll have to research S.E. Hinton again, but I'd like to have those books. Like just to have them, right? Because I have read them, but I would read The Outsiders again for sure. But my plan is before I buy a book, and again, this is something this is not priority whatsoever, is or lend the book, get the book from the library, right? Read it, see if I like it, and then if I really like it, if I'm halfway through it, I'll order it up. and like, okay, I just can't put this book down, type of thing. How fast am I going to read? That's the other thing I have to come up with. Well, uh, we'll get into that. But the thing is that I'm like, okay, well, what are people reading? Like, okay, yes, you can go out with all the classics and whatever, and I want standalone books versus series. I just like, okay, yeah, I'm sure Game of Thrones is awesome, but who wants to read 14 books, right? Or 17 books or whatever? Like, that's just way too much. Especially if it takes me like a month to read a book or whatever. Maybe I'm lucky if I can do a book in 10 days, but I'm not reading it with I have to finish a book in a certain amount of time. I'm going with the Michelangelo philosophy. It's finished when it's finished. You know what I mean? Like when the Pope asked Michelangelo, when he was going to be done the Sixtine Chapel, he says it's finished when it's finished. You know what I mean? And that's the best way to approach things, rather than okay, I can read this many books per year and then like set it out, because life doesn't look. My morning routine is already screwed. I'm going to do something else different. And it's like that every day. Like life is what happens when you make plans. You know what I mean? When you're making plans. So, but I also don't want to be wasting time on books that I'm just like that astrology book. It's great. I'll probably sell it as in my yard sale or whatever, or donate it to the hall. I'm sure they're going to like that. They don't want any magazines and everything like that. But old Vincent, he gave me a whole bunch of gun books and car magazines, like stacks and stacks of them. And I couldn't refuse him because he was a nice old guy. I don't know if he's still with us or not, but I know he's probably in a home now for sure, because I know he was starting to get and he was sharp as a tack too. And then all of a sudden, bang! Within about a span of a year, I mean, he was 85, 84, 85 years old, but he used to come up and would shoot the shit, talk guns and talk this, talk that. Every now and then he'd bring me box of books or whatever and stuff like that. And I went through most of them, but it's again, it's not reading that you read for the enjoyment of it. It's more for the curiosity and understanding of, like knowledge, right? So historical stuff and whatever. So I'm looking at how do I find good books, right? Because you have option paralysis. Like you walk into a library, you sit there and you stare at the bookshelf for, in whatever category you sit there and you stare at it and it's like, oh, well, that looks good. Well, that looks good. But that looks good. What do I read first? I say don't overthink it. Just grab something and go. But if you want a better spot to start, first off, what category of stuff do you want? Fiction is a big, there's a big, that's a big statement, right? It's basically, yeah, it's like, yeah, fiction. So you're saying the water's wet? Like, yeah, okay. Let's get a little bit more detailed than that, right? So do you want murder mysteries? Do you want fantasy? Do you want, what do you want, right? And a book I want to get, even if I know I'd finish it for sure, but I want a hardcover of Moby Dick. It's a story I've been fascinated with my entire life. I've always loved the story of it. I love the movies. There was a lot of movies on it. I know The Heart of the Sea was probably the most popular, but the one with Jean-Luc Picard in there, that one was really good. Patrick Stewart. Is it Patrick Stewart? That's Jean-Luc Picard's name. Yeah, Patrick Stewart, right? Anyway, I liked his version. Uh, Ethan Hawke was in that one too. The one with what you call it? Or no, that's the one with Gene Hackman in it. I think. I forget. I forget. I get the two of the. They're like 3 hour movies, right? But the story's fantastic, and they're close to the original, right? To whatever. But I'm sure the book will probably keep you up at night. Any little creak you hear is like, is that the white whale? Is that the white whale? The book is about obsession, right? It's about obsession, is what it is. And the dangers of like of obsession. But anyway, yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, I know I want books like that. Okay, well, okay, you can get 1984 and Ant Farm and Two Cities and what's like all that stuff. Clockwork Orange, you can get that one. You can get all those really popular books, Catcher in the Rye and stuff like that. And I have no issues with those books, but you know some of these books have been in print for many, many, many decades. Some even over hundreds, a century or more, and that's great. But if you spent your time just reading classics, you would die never reading a modern book, right? So I think what my strategy is going to be is, say, like biographies, you know, how-to manuals, knowledge stuff would be like a three-book setup. That'd be one category of books that I would like, something that's going to actually learn something. Maybe you buy a biography of a politician or something like that, or a rock star. Right now, I'm reading the Elvis ones, right? So like little books like that, that's fine. Then you could get like if you want a book on Mussolini or Hitler or something like that, okay, get something on that. Maybe you want one on Churchill, okay, like they have one on Churchill in there. Okay, well, it'd be an interesting read, good, bad, ugly, you know what I mean. And I don't look at books as offensive or anything like that. So a book I'd like to get out of for example, Marcus Aurelius. I think that one, a lot of people recommend it. It's a philosophy. You can get a Nietzsche, you can get Locke, you can get all these type of things. Um, you know, and just to better understand like these people, what I mean, in history. Books on Caesar, books on like I do like stuff about the Roman Empire. Um, you can get books on Neanderthals. I love anything to do with the like ancient human history. I love that. So history, knowledge, stuff like that. Autobiographical biography, whatever biographies. Um, yeah, stuff like that, and then fiction. Something that okay, this is just for this is the popcorn movie of the book. The book popcorn book. You know what I mean? Something that you're reading it because it's not based on anything real, but just you want to be entertained. And those are the books I'm going to go for. This book would fall in that category where it's more of like entertainment. It's a dystopian novel, the Dustland series, and there's three of them, right? So I'm like, okay, well, this one I just ended up with, and it actually it's a fairly well rated book. I'm just a few pages, I'm on to the second chapter there now. I just started the second chapter last night. But the way I'm reading, okay, okay. So one last thing I'll say is to figure out what to get, what to focus on first, because like you want to get the top books first. So Harry Potter, not going to happen. I've seen enough of the movies that I can imagine the books are probably better. I know, but I really don't like. I'm not going to be surprised with it. You know what I mean? Game of Thrones. I don't know anything about Game of Thrones other than a few little clips on the internet. I'd probably watch it rather than read it. Lord of the Rings. I've watched the movies. I've never read the books. I'm sure the books are fantastic, but I'm going to go for the popcorn movie, right? Just because of the amount of time it's going to take me to read all that. But a standalone book might not be too bad because, like something like that, if it was a standalone book, you'd probably read it in a month at leisure if you really put a push on it. Some avid readers could probably read a book like that in 10 days. And then the real fanatics that just sit there all day and read, they could probably read it in 3 or 4 days, right? So, I mean, that's crazy. But, that's I can't divide my time up into 100%. Okay, I wake up in the morning, I start reading, and then, I do have a lot of time off right now, so I'm going to dedicate a certain sector of the day to read. So I look at book reviews and book recommendations, right? And if you're thinking of getting into reading, this is a great place to start. So I did two kind of searches. So I started looking, And I started getting a lot of women. And the problem you have is the 80-20 rule. Uh, 80% of the books are written and written for women by women, right? So the male angle doesn't have a lot to pick. Well, it has a lot to pick from, but most men, that's why they end up reading these old classic books like Moby Dick and stuff like that, because there's nothing modern. Where years ago most writers were men, right? And I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing, but what I'm saying is that the modern fiction book that's meant to appeal to a majority feminine audience is, it means a lot of books are not going to really resonate with a guy. You know what I mean? It's like the what I call girly porn, um, romance novels and stuff like that. They really, like guys are going to be uncomfortable reading those. It's just, like it's like I don't want to read some girl's book boyfriend. You know what I mean? Like I really don't want to read that. I have no interest in that whatsoever. If that's your thing, great. But for most guys, they're not gonna, like we'll read about the Great Wall of Troy or something like that and enjoy it much more. Not that you can't have books about relationships that guys won't enjoy, but in general, the woman's perspective for the women, catering to the woman, will probably not resonate with men. So when I was looking at the book reviews, I kind of scattered it up, saying, okay, well, here's recommended. So the girls are recommending this, okay, but what about books for men? And then the guys recommend things that are totally different. But then I started finding a couple of books that were crossed over. And this one book, okay, out of about 20 book recommendations, probably 50-50 of men recommending and women recommending, because some women recommend really fantastic books for like anybody and everybody, right? Not every girl is into just like there's a lot of feminism in books, right? So there's a lot of girls that, oh, this is the best book ever. And then when you kind of get a description of the book, it's like, okay, I'm not going to enjoy that. I'm not going to enjoy that. The feminist kind of manifesto. And there's all kinds of videos about people talking about some of the, like how woke some of the stuff is. I'm not going to enjoy that, right? I like adventure stories, Jules Verne type stuff. I like, like medieval fantasy, heroic heroes' journeys type of stuff. Beowulf, like that. That's the stuff I'm going to enjoy, right? I'm going to enjoy probably. I've never read it, but like say like Blade Runner type stuff or Tron, like futuristic stuff. I like stuff like that. I do love the movie The Road. I've never read the book, but the book, I think my sister had it. That book, everybody says the same thing. It's very disturbing. The movie was disturbing, so the book must be even more disturbing. But maybe Solzhenitsyn's, Archipelago, like that one. They say that one's, Communist Archipelago or whatever it's called there. That one really, that talks about the Russian gulags, right? And survivors of the Russian gulags, he being one of them. Books like that will really hit you. You know what I mean? Like so, but it's not a fiction book. It's unfortunately reality. But that would be in the historical context. So I found at about 20 videos, there was one book that just kept coming up. It was nobody's favorite, but it just everybody gave it like such high praise. And I was like, so I went into the library today. I won't tell you what the book is because I got to see if I can get it. But if I can get it, like it got me to the point where I was like, I was ready to order it up last night with the credit card. Like I was like, yeah, I could, but I thought, well, no, I'll get it out of the library first, and if it's as good as people have made it out to be, uh, I'll actually buy it, right? And then that gave me the idea rather than just buying books and seeing if I'm going to like them or not. But there was about 4 or 5 books that really kept coming out, especially for guys. It was like, okay, every guy recommended, like out of 10 reviews, like eight reviews are going to have this book in it, right? And that says something about that book. It means people are really, overall enjoy it. Maybe you'll get it, you won't like it at all. But that said, this one book came out probably 18 out of 20 times. And then I kind of researched the book. And it's like, it's hard to research a book that you don't want to know anything about other than, is it worthwhile starting there? You know what I mean? Like, so if, let's say it takes me 6 months to read this book. Okay, time well spent. Okay, money well spent. Okay, let's say it takes me a month to read it. Okay, or I'm so into the book, I read it in a week. You know what I mean? Just like, that's it. My life's on hold. I'm reading this book. I don't think I'm going to be able to do that just because I have too many things to do, too many chores. I'm still fixing up down here. You know, I have to divide my time, you know, appropriately. I'm still recording. I'm going to do some more recording today. My song Pinto. But the thing is about down here is like, this is my Renaissance house. Like, there's going to be music recording, reading. Uh, uh, I'm not a TV guy. I haven't watched TV like you know, like the last series I watched was Lost, and like once they finally finished off Lost, and I ended at one of the Supernaturals. Those were the last two shows that I was really following. And after Lost, it was just like, okay, I'm not following any more TV shows. It takes too long. You know what I mean? Now I know you can binge watch everything on Netflix, and I started into the what you call it, what you call it, Cobra Kai. You know that one, right? I started that one, but I've, you know, because you can't just watch it, you have to wait for it to come out. I haven't followed up. I went, I think, up to season 3, and that was it. And I liked it. I loved it. It was great. But it's just like, I don't like the long, drawn out, takes years to watch type of thing. You know, I got shit to do, right? So I'll wait till the series is done and then binge watch it all in one shot. I think that's just works better for me. So there was about 4 or 5 other books that kept coming up, and most of them were kind of in the fantasy realm, whatever. Guys liked it, girls liked it, and that's the stuff I'm more interested in. That stuff that you know, I know if that the guys and the girls both like it, that it's the writing's balanced. It's not just pandering to one kind of audience, right? And when it's given high praise on top of that, it's like, okay, it's just a really good story, regardless of who wrote it, whether it's a male author, female author, doesn't matter. So, I think male authors can give you perspectives that female authors can't, and vice versa, right? So, like for example, the way S.E. Hinton wrote The Outsiders, I don't think any guy could ever write it with that much passion. Like, she just wrote the characters so well, right? So the thing is that I have to kind of come up with a book list, which I sort of been working on already last night, of things to track down, so that I don't end up getting lost in an abyss of a whole bunch of books like this one, where I may or may not like it. I'm sure, like it's there's nothing that makes me go wow yet, and it's not I don't like the book. It's just like if I was watching a movie, so far everything's predictable, you know. But I'm not far enough into it. I'm only one chapter into it, and there's things happening. People have been kidnapped. People have been killed, shot. There's a bird that keeps bugging people. Imagine that, a little critter that comes along and just keeps bugging you. How you doing out there, Marvin? Marvin made another mess again. I saw him last night. The little fat little bugger there sitting there. Hey, eating a nut. Like, where'd you get that nut? I stole it from you. He's chewing away. He's like, the guy has like no conscience whatsoever about stealing stuff from me. No conscience, and he never picks up after himself. But anyway, I'm gonna go out and do a little bit of work out there after I've done my videos. So that's the other thing, making videos down here. You know what I mean? Like, you guys. Oh, I miss the old Not Reg Me channel where we got these long videos and stuff like that. And now, careful what you wish for, guys. You're gonna get a 10-hour video one day, 2 of them, 3 of them, 8 of them. Yeah. And you will watch it all. And you're gonna like it whether you like it or not. Don't test me. Don't test me. I'll put on my granny glasses. Don't test me. But anyway, yeah. So what is my strategy for reading? Okay, guys, got to give you guys a little bit of my backdrop. I mean, some of you be interested in this, some of you not. But I did not know how to read till I was about 13 or 15 years old. I say 15 because by 15 I knew I could read. But up until that time, I had dyslexia, which basically for me, and it's a spectrum for people. What I had ADD. In other words, I just didn't pay attention. You know that it wasn't. I somebody diagnosed with ADD. Okay, and in hindsight, it's like, okay, no, I was just a disruptive kid. I wasn't a bad kid, but I was a disruptive kid. I was like Calvin and Hobbes kind of thing. I was just always full of energy. So it wasn't that I couldn't concentrate on anything. I just didn't want to. I wanted to do go, 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 go. And I'm still the same way. I'm go, 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 go. You talk to anybody that works with me, it's like, oh yeah, when this guy gets going, man, he's just like, he's into it, just get out of his way. You know what I mean? I'll build Rome in a day just because I want to. And then other times I like procrastinate for like a decade, you know what I mean, on certain things. But that's the way I am, and that's not good. That's not bad. That's not a malfunction. It's just the way I am. So in other words, I have to be interested in it, or I'm just, just not going to apply myself. And that's what most people with ADD are. It's not a disability you have. It's a discipline problem you have. This is exactly what it is. Coming from somebody with ADD, I know might be a spectrum. There are some people that probably really can't concentrate on anything. And I'll tell you why you can't concentrate on anything. And it's quite simple. The amount of dopamine hit distractions we get from, like, you take like they call it TikTok brain now. It's like that. You can't concentrate on anything more than 10 seconds. Well, it's simple because your brain's looking for the next dopamine hit. That's why you're hyper all that, right? But once you get into something, suddenly it's just like you settle down, you're quiet, and you're into it. Bang! Your brain starts to rewire to focus on stuff. You know what I mean? And you have to train your brain to do that. The same way you train yourself to play guitar or whatever. I've got my guitar there. I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example and a teaser. Okay, so sleeve is in the way. Okay. That's part of the solo in Pinto. Now, I've been working on that solo for about 6 months. I was even still a little bit sloppy there. You don't learn how to play guitar until you get it right. You have to learn to play it until you can't get it wrong. And that's muscle memory, right? So it's the way your brain works. Repetition, 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 right? So you have to train it to do things. And so to read books, what I have to do, okay, day one, I pick up a book for free on a job I did, okay? Book sits on the shelf for about a year. At random, not overthinking, I pick up the book. I read 2 pages. Bookmark it, put it down. Okay, week later, this is the beginning of this year, I read another couple pages, bookmark it, put it down. About a week ago, I read a couple more pages, 2 pages, one night, 2 pages the next night, right? So just keep it moving, right? And then the past 3 nights, okay, read like 4 pages, then 6 pages, and I don't know what I'll read tonight, but probably going to read it. But I'm getting faster at it. I'm retaining more information. I'm actually retaining what I'm reading. I'm going to try a couple of techniques with the finger and stuff like that. But I'm getting faster at it the more I do it. In other words, you get good at what you practice, right? So that said, that's a good training book for me to get back into reading or to take it up as a hobby. And I have a few leisure hobbies like this that I want to do. One great thing about books is if you're dirt poor, you can find all kinds of free books and just start there. It's just cheap entertainment, whatever. Like I don't have a TV in here. There's probably never going to be a TV in here. Like I don't really. I'm not saying never, but I'm just saying like I'm not going to have Netflix or like that. Um, I'm one of those people that okay, I'll spend time on the internet, but which I waste a lot of time on the internet. But I don't like last night when I left home or left here and went home, which 250 feet that way or whatever. I had my supper. I went on the internet and I was thinking about the book. I was like, I would have liked to have read a little bit more yesterday. So maybe today I'll try to read a lot more. But I still got to get my chores done and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like I can't neglect my duties for reading, but what I can do is try to put a little bit. Like my goal was just start with 2 pages a day. Like you read this, you read this, you read this, okay, and then tomorrow you're on the next page. You read that, you read that, okay. If that's all you can do, that's all. Just find that much time, and then that much time turns into well, I got these two done. I'll see if I can do two more, until you're not taking in the information where you're just reading, just going through the motion of it, right? Once you're there, stop reading, put it away because you're not enjoying it. Like the point of reading a book is to enjoy the book, to get into the book, even if you have to read it a little bit slower. Once you get to the point where your eyes are jumping all over the place, because your eyes are not naturally stable. It's the hunter-gatherer thing. Like you're always looking around for prey. You're looking around for your lunch. Your lunch is looking around for you. You're looking around for the thing that wants to make you lunch. That's so your eyes don't naturally stay stable and focused on any one thing. Hence why your eyes jump around on words. Now, ailing vision. What happens to you when you get old? Get older. Like your vision starts to go, so it's harder to concentrate. So yeah, do a little bit, read a little bit. Some people say have 3 books going on at the same time. That way, like you read a bit. Okay, I'm kind of tired of this book. I'll read that. So what I do is I read that, and then I'll read the majority of the time on this, and I'll read at least a page, 2 pages, say like I'll read this side and this side, right, and then I'll bookmark it for tomorrow, and then keep going. So that one I'm not putting a lot of effort into reading, but by the time I'm done this, I'll probably be done that one and the other one, and then I've read 3 books, right? So I'm not logging my time on this one, how long it's going to take me to read, but I'll give you an estimate. So far, I've probably picked up this book and read it about 7 or 8 times, okay? And each time it's either 2 pages, has been my minimum every time I read it. It's been 2 pages. Just so I'm starting on the next page, you know what I mean? So I don't read like half a page and, did I read both pages? Read it to the end, flip it over, bookmark it, read it, keep going, right? And then last night I did like 6 pages or something like that. So, or more than that. Yeah, probably about 6 pages. So if I could do, say, like 10 pages a night, within a month, you finish the book. And that's only, like maybe about half an hour, 20 minutes. The average person can read about 200 words a minute or so, something like that. It's like basically it takes about 2 minutes per page. So in 60 minutes, you could typically read about theoretically 30 pages. The average book being about 300 pages. Within 10 days, you can usually finish a book, right? If you can spend an hour. Maybe you can't spend an hour, but it's kind of one of those things. Once you get into it, you start to settle out. The big thing down here is that there's no distractions, right? There's, unless a big truck goes by or whatever, but there's nothing, there's nobody in the background making noise or talking. There's no TV on, there's no radio on. All distractions are gone. So once you do get into it, your brain is just like, okay, rather than looking for all these little dopamine hits of being entertained, it's like laser focus. And then once you get into the laser focus mode, the reading muscle seems to kick in a bit more. So that's the way I'm doing it. So I'll probably have 3 books going at any one time after this book, with the heavy emphasis on a primary book that I'm going to read. So like I'll read like say like 10 pages per day out of this book, and the flip worth of pages on the other two books, and have different ones, right? And if it gets to the point where it's like, okay, I'm really not taking in the other two books, then just pause them, or just do two books at a time or whatever. So I think that's a good way to go. How long will I do this for? Well, probably if I get through a list of books and I can actually obtain these books for either free or very, very little money, I'll do that and just make it a life project. You finish them when you finish them. But I would also like to be more read the book, get rid of the book. You know what I mean? Like if I'm not a big fan of it. So the books I get for free, I might not, hang on to them for long. You know what I mean? Or it's like there's a few book exchanges around here. Book exchange, ad library, whatever. So like if I go to the library, like people in that library, the cottagers will probably take out books more than the locals, right? There's other things that you could take out of their games and stuff like that too, but in general, no. If I get a book that I really like, I might perhaps buy it. But I think the best way to do, because like I talked about my sister's book collection, I'm sure she had about 3,000 books, and she probably read every one of them more than once, right? And I mean that's years and years of books. But she got rid of she would get rid of a whole bunch, and then she'd get a whole bunch more, and then it just gets so cluttered. You know what I mean? And then she had a few books that were just like her absolute favorites she'd keep, and then even at that, some of them she would get rid of, and just be like, well, it's nice to have the book, but then it just, like if you have like 5 really nice books, that's great. You'll keep them for life, right? You have 500, it's like, okay, what do I do with them all? Like it's taking up space, whatever. So, and especially if it's books that you bought, you didn't enjoy them as much as you thought you would, can you part with them? I mean, many books you're only going to read once, and some recommendations too is if you got a book and you really just, you're not getting anything out of it. Like for example, the astrology book. Yeah, a lot of good information in there, but I'm not really into that stuff that much. And it's just like, okay, that's a lot of time spent reading that book. When it's not really a leisure book, it's not a storybook. It's not it's just kind of like, here's your zodiac, here's what it means on this day. And I'm like, okay, that's fine and dandy, but that's not something you're going to hang on to, unless you're really into that. I'm not into that. Now, people that are into that, they'll hang on to that forever, right? And they'll use it as reference or whatever. So for me, I don't want any more clutter. Like I'm trying to get rid of stuff, not, take on too much new stuff. But I get some new junk every now and then too. But my goal is to really, truly, make sure that I can not only do do this new thing and a new hobby, whatever, but it's also something that you can anybody can do anywhere. You know what I mean? You can reading is probably one of the easiest hobbies to pick up. It just requires a little bit of time. And the other thing too is just to keep the brain exercising and just gaining knowledge. Like, yes, you can, almost anything you want to know about, you can find on the internet. But I don't like looking at a screen to read. You know what I mean? Like it just, I don't like looking at a screen. I don't mind watching a movie or a video or whatever, but I to read, I find it very straining. You know what I mean? To try to read the internet, like a computer screen, right? And it's why a lot of people end up with eye problems, is too much screen time. And I'm sure that's probably has a lot to do with me as well. Probably just too much screen time. So any time off the screen is probably pretty good. But you have to shut off your cell phone. All you cell phone people, yes, I'm on a cell phone right now, but no, like I don't have any service. But yeah, as soon as I'm reading or something like that, like there's no dinging, whatever, shut it off. You don't need to be, and this is what's stressing out a lot of people, is they get fatigue of just being on all the time. You know what I mean? At nighttime, shut your computer off. Blue light is not good for you. You need to, you need to shut lights off at night. You need darkness. You need, like your body was designed for that. There's a whole bunch of health studies done on, exposure to like all these screens and stuff like that, your cell phone, all that. Like, just shut that stuff off. Just shut the electronic stuff off. Go read the book. Enjoy that. Then go do something else. You know what I mean? So anyway, yeah, that's my strategy. That's how I'm going to do it. I don't know how many people are interested in these kind of videos, but I think as I do the book reviews, I will review the book at the end of it. What I won't do in my book reviews, though, is basically tell you what's in the book. I'll tell you about whether I recommend the book. I'll tell you whether, like maybe a little bit of a gist of it, what it's based, like what the backdrop is. But I won't tell you about any of the characters. I won't tell you what the characters are. I'll tell you maybe, okay, it's a hero's journey. If you like the hero's journey type of stuff, you might like this. I think this is going to be kind of a hero's journey kind of one. That's what, but I'm not going to tell you what it's about. Why? Because you'll enjoy it more if you have no idea what to expect. As long as it's within the genre you like. So anyway, I'm gonna make a couple of videos about books and stuff like that. Now that I'm an expert, I read a whole chapter, so that makes me practically an expert. No, but just like some things that I've noticed already of the book people like everything becomes a fad and becomes trendy and stuff like that. Where like the book thing is really an individualist journey. It really is. What you read, what you like. So you got those people that are always got to one up everybody. I'm the connoisseur, and you never know what people are going to like, right? So you never even know yourself exactly what you're going to like until you start reading it. Something that you might, okay, I'm totally into this, and it's just like, I really don't enjoy this at all. And then you go read something else, you're like, hey, I really like that. So who knows? But I do know that tracking down a list of books that are most recommended, even if they're not considered top sellers or whatever, it's just that everybody's recommending it for a reason. That overall, a lot of people have read it, and they're mentioning it. Okay, you got somebody that's read 500 books, and they're telling you about their top 10. That's a tall order. You know what I mean? Like you got somebody read even 50 books, in their lifetime, and they're telling you about their top book. This is the book that I've read 5 times, blah blah blah, 10 times, whatever. That says something about the author of the book, right? That it really hits. So I'm going to track down some books probably this weekend or maybe next weekend, depending if the thrift shop's open. It's because it's open Saturdays, but not every Saturday. And I'm going to go in there and I'm going to see if I can, go through the books that they have, see what they're willing to part with. If they're like, okay, it's $3 per book. I doubt it'd be that, because it's out the way my aunt made it sounds like no, they're probably let you take most of them. It's just because they're just getting overwhelmed with them, right? So it's like a book exchange: take one, leave one, whatever. We'll see. But if I can find, like the other 2 books for this, for example, it seemed like it was a popular enough book that there's a good chance I might find the other 2. And okay, I'll get those 2. I'll finish up the trilogy. You know what I mean? And then maybe I sell it or trade it or give it away or burn it. Whatever. But anyway, yeah, that's my take for now. Got a couple more things I want to talk about for books, especially for people getting into it and stuff like that.